along, we've been taught that the only way to do what we love, the only way to have the things that we want in our career is to apply and to have a resume. Hi, my name is Grace, and I'm founder of Career Revisionist and host of a podcast by that same name. I help savvy professionals to achieve careers where they're doing work they love, where they are getting paid more money, and expand that into living a life of fulfillment. Are you at a plateau in your career right now? Maybe you're working hard in a job, but you just aren't getting the salary that you deserve. Maybe you are hoping and you have a goal to get to that next level of your career, or maybe you are in a transition and you're looking for something better. People always talk about landing jobs, but there's a problem with that statement. You see, 80% of the jobs aren't even published. They're in the hidden job market. So the most desirable careers, the most desirable jobs, the high-paying ones, can't even be landed because they're not even published. And the ones that are, there's hundreds of applicants competing for the same applications, competing for the same postings, so it is a noisy marketplace. At a very young age, we've been programmed by the education system. Stay in school, get good grades, graduate, and apply for your dream job. And then when you get that job, work hard in that job so that you can get noticed and get that promotion and then make more money. And then at the end of it, then you can be sure that your degree was worth it. Early in your career, you tell your teachers and you tell your advisors that you want to be doing something you love, you want to make a meaningful contribution, you want to be having a career that you love. And what do they tell you? They tell you to be proactive and apply early. Right? So all along, we've been taught that the only way to do what we love, the only way to have the things that we want in our career is to apply and to have a resume. We aren't taught any other way to build our careers, to plan our careers, and to advance our careers. Now, I'm not saying that you have to quit applying for jobs or that you have to take yourself off the job market forever. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm also not saying that you shouldn't go back to school or that you shouldn't go to get a college degree. That's not what I'm saying. If you value college, if you find that it is interesting to you, if you found a subject matter that you like, then go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I am saying is asking you a question. And the question I'm asking is, what is your long-term career strategy? What are the things that you're going to do that are going to help you achieve the things that you want in your career in the future? And what are the decisions that you're making, and are they helping you to achieve the things that you truly desire? Is it really working for you? That's what I'm asking. So what I really want to do is to help you to stop living in fear that you're not living at your fullest potential, and to also to help you to stop running that hamster wheel. Today I'm going to give you 4 very powerful tips on how to help you to stop running that hamster wheel and stop living in fear that you are not living to your fullest potential. The first tip I have for you is that job postings are like advertisements. They're written by hired help. Usually a HR representative, HR manager, or a hiring manager, and their sole purpose for writing these job postings is to attract good candidates. So these people that are writing those job postings, they don't have an idea of what the real problem is inside of that company. The leader does, but the leader is not the one posting the advertisement. So what ends up happening is that these job postings, the ones that get published anyway, remember only 20% of the jobs out there are published. And so the ones that are published are written by people who are hired to attract good candidates. And so these job postings are designed to attract people to them. And then what ends up happening is that the real job, the reality of it when you get hired, it turns out to be quite different from the job posting. And a lot of the times, these job postings, they talk about the job summary, they talk about qualifications, and people come and they browse these postings and they see the qualifications listing. And what ends up happening more often than not is people end up disqualifying themselves before they even begin. And so they end up in this cycle of disqualification and looking for filtering job postings that they feel suits them, in the end wasting time on interviews where they find out that the job is quite different from what the posting had described. All because postings weren't designed that way to help individuals to connect and match them with the right match. It was just designed to attract candidates. Right? So that's why feedback from rejections is largely useless. It's not very helpful because the hiring manager, him or herself, doesn't really know the intricacies of what the job is, what it entails, and the problem that that role is trying to solve. Tip number 2 is to think of who you want to work for. Yes, this is your employer, it's your boss, but it's also a direct supervisor or a manager, because who you work for is actually more important than your job title or what it is exactly that you do. And the reason why is because who you work for. I mean, if you think about if you had an opportunity to work with someone, work for someone who had a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of connections, and a wealth of experiences that they could give you, what that could do for your career. You have an opportunity to learn from someone. Say for example, you had an opportunity to go back in time and work for Elon Musk or Steve Jobs or someone of that caliber. If you had a chance, an opportunity to work with someone with that wealth that they could teach you, then you end up developing skills and experiences that are going to be invaluable. And this job is going to be an opportunity for you to learn, for you to develop your skills stack, for you to develop your knowledge and to become a better version of yourself, because you are learning from someone who is worthy of to be learning from. And those skills that you learned in this job, you can always take and transfer and apply that, because you can leverage that to get to the next level of your career. Tip number 3 is to think of your job as a vehicle. Because let's face it, job security is an illusion. And I know I hear a lot of people tell me that the one thing that they desire in their career is to have security. They want some security, they want predictability. They want to know that their job is going to be around. But the truth is, jobs are evolved. They're not the same anymore that they were before the information age. Nowadays, people don't work for 10, 20, 30 years, and you're not going to stay in the same company for 10, 20, 30 years either. It may feel secure because you work for a Fortune 500 company, or maybe your company has a lot of money, or it's a large global company. But the fact is, companies go bankrupt all the time. People get laid off, people get fired, projects change, and all of this, and the economies change, directions change, and a business is made of people, regardless how large and established it is, and people change their mind. So there really is no job security, right? Job security is just an illusion. So if you're not going to stay at this job for 20, 30 years like people used to, then it's time to be strategic when you choose your job. Think of it as your vehicle to get to ultimately where you want to be. Right? And it may be difficult to think 10, 20, 30 years out in your life, but you do have an idea of what your vision is for your lifestyle, for yourself and for your family. So what does that look like to you? And how can your next job, the next level of your job, help you get there? Right? So if this is the vehicle, it is a stepping stone. And keep in mind what I mentioned earlier is that your boss, right, your employer, who you work for, is more important than your job title. So with these in mind, when taking together, use this as a leverage to get to that next stepping stone in your career, that next level of your career, so you can ultimately have all the things that you desire in your career and in your life. Tip number 4 is to practice good money habits. Now, you have worked hard for the things that you already have in your career, and you might be thinking that you deserve to enjoy your money. You must have heard the expression that it's hard-earned money, so you deserve to enjoy it. And there's nothing wrong with that, to spend a little bit of money to enjoy things or spend some money on your loved ones, right? But the problem is that you need to be thinking about setting some money aside. Right? And I understand that sometimes it's very common for people to make an income, and for example, let's say that they got a 20% raise, and then that means that they kind of spend 20% more of their income in enjoyment, right? But that is not a good money habit. A better money habit is to not increase your spending if you increase your income, but rather think about and plan to set money aside each time, each month, or maybe every 2 weeks. Right? And because when you do it this way, then that you are stopping yourself, you are preventing yourself from always constantly living in fear of losing your income. Because when you make more and then you spend proportionate amount more, then you'll always constantly be afraid to lose your income. You'll always be afraid, living in fear of losing your job. And that puts you in what I call a scarcity mindset. And with that mindset, it's hard to be creative, to find ways. It's hard to be creative, to make connections with people. It's hard to be creative in your job. And when you need to be creative and you need to be innovative to solve the problems in your company. Right? So that is the 4th tip, and that is to practice good money habits. One of the concepts that I teach is all about developing a long-term career strategy. And it's not about improving your resume or the job online application, because I don't believe that that is a long-time strategy anymore. I mean, now that it is past the information age, jobs are more competitive, online applications are more competitive, and there are more the rise of remote workers. But now the career landscape is completely different, and it's going to continue to change in the future. So your career success, the pace at which you advance your career and move forward in your career, is going to depend on the career strategy that you choose that will help you, that will align with the appropriate time and situation. Comment below yes or no. Do you have a long-term career strategy to advance your career? If that is something you're looking for, I have prepared something for you. It's a 4-day training, it's completely free, that will tell you and outline a long-term strategy that is appropriate for today's careers, modern time and situation. So go to careerrevisionist.com/4-day training. I'll have that in the links below, and we'll see you there.